There was a time when calling a job boring sounded almost insulting. It meant you had settled, stopped growing, given up on ambition, accepted a smaller life. A boring job was supposed to be something you escaped, not something you wanted, because modern work culture taught people to admire energy, speed, passion, disruption, big goals, constant growth, intensity. The ideal job was supposed to be exciting, meaningful, fast-moving, full of opportunity. But now, something strange has happened. In an economy full of burnout, layoffs, chaos, performance pressure, and endless mental spillover, a boring job is starting to look a lot like freedom. Predictable hours, stable pay, low drama, no identity theater, no constant emergencies, no pressure to love your job like it's a calling. For a growing number of people, that no longer sounds depressing. It sounds luxurious. So maybe the real question is no longer, why would anyone want a boring job? Maybe it's, how did boring become one of the best things a job can be? Because if modern work has changed so much that boredom now feels like protection, then something deeper has shifted in what people need from work itself. For a long time, boring was treated as a warning sign. A boring job meant repetition, stagnation, predictability without excitement, routine without status, work that paid the bills but did not inspire anyone. And in a culture obsessed with self-actualization, that sounded like failure. People were told to chase more purpose, more movement, more challenge, more impact, more identity through work. A great job was supposed to make you feel alive, not merely stable. That idea became so normal that many people stopped questioning it. Of course you should want work that excites you. Of course boring means wasted potential. Of course ambitious people should want more than routine. But hidden inside that belief was an assumption that no longer holds as well as it used to. It assumed that exciting work would also be sustainable. That challenge would not become constant depletion. That growth would not become permanent instability. That passion would not become managerial extraction. That intensity would not follow people home every night. Once those assumptions broke, boring started to look different. Not like failure, like relief. One reason boring jobs became more attractive is that the alternative was sold so aggressively. Modern work culture glorified jobs that were dynamic, high performance, mission-driven, always evolving, deeply collaborative, and emotionally immersive. That language sounded exciting, but in practice it often meant something else. Unclear boundaries, unstable expectations, constant adaptation, identity-based pressure, unpaid emotional labor, ever-expanding responsibility, and the expectation that work should matter to you more than it pays you. The more a job called itself exciting, the more likely it was to invade life outside work. Exciting jobs often came with hidden demands. You had to care more, stay later, think harder, be available, keep learning constantly, treat uncertainty as opportunity, treat overextension as growth. And slowly, people began to notice something. A lot of what was marketed as exciting work was just chaos with better branding. What looked energetic from the outside often felt exhausting from the inside. That changed the emotional hierarchy, because once work becomes too psychologically expensive, calm starts to look more valuable than stimulation. And that is exactly what many workers are discovering now. One of the most important shifts in modern labor is that predictability became harder to find. Schedules change, jobs restructure, managers rotate, metrics move, layoffs arrive suddenly, workloads expand without warning. Digital communication keeps people semi-present all the time. In that environment, predictability stops feeling ordinary. It starts feeling precious. A boring job often means you know what tomorrow looks like. You know your tasks, you know your hours, you know the pace, you know the rules, you know when the day ends. That sounds simple, but simple became valuable. Because a worker whose nervous system is already carrying enough uncertainty does not necessarily want a career that adds more. They want something survivable. This is where boring changes meaning. It no longer means emotionally dead. It means stable enough that your mind can stop bracing all the time. And once workers realize how much stress comes from unpredictability rather than effort alone, their priorities change. A boring job may not impress anyone at dinner, but it might let you sleep. That is not a small thing. One of the hidden strengths of a boring job is that it often leaves parts of you untouched. It does not demand total identification. It does not ask you to perform constant enthusiasm. It does not make every week feel urgent. It does not turn every challenge into a test of your ambition. That matters enormously, because some jobs do not just take time. They take mental space. They remain in your body after work, in your sleep, in your relationships, in your weekends, in the background of every quiet moment. A boring job at its best often does less of that. It may not thrill you, but it may leave you alone when the day is over. And for a lot of people, that is beginning to look like one of the highest forms of compensation. The job ends. You come home. Your mind is still yours. Your identity is not fully tied to your employer. You can care about other things. That kind of separation is deeply underrated, especially in an age where work keeps trying to expand into personality, lifestyle, mission, and self-worth. Sometimes boring is just another word for limited damage. And in the current economy, limited damage is a strong offer. There is another reason boring jobs now look better. Too many workers have already seen what high-intensity ambition can cost. They have lived through the always-on office, the growth stage startup, the prestige job with invisible overtime, the opportunity that consumed evenings, the manager who praised dedication while normalizing overload, the role that looked great on LinkedIn and terrible in real life. After enough of that, people stop romanticizing energy for its own sake. They start asking different questions. Can I keep this up? Can I have a life around it? Can I stay healthy doing this? Can I make plans without work breaking them? Can I earn without being consumed? Those are not lazy questions. They are post-burnout questions. And once a culture produces enough exhausted people, the meaning of a great job changes. It stops being about maximum stimulation and starts being about durable livability. That is why boring jobs now attract a kind of respect they did not have before. Not because people became less ambitious, but because too many discovered that ambition without protection becomes self-erasure. This is the paradox. A boring job is often treated as low status. But in the current labor environment, it can offer things that many prestigious jobs no longer provide. Routine, boundaries, clarity, recoverability, freedom from constant self-branding, freedom from perpetual emergency, freedom from organizational theater. In that sense, boring jobs now carry a hidden luxury. They let people preserve energy for the rest of life. That is starting to matter more than career mythology admits. Because what is a great job, really? One that sounds impressive? One that consumes you? One that keeps you anxious but socially validated? Or one that supports a stable life without colonizing your mind? More and more people are choosing the second definition. Quietly, not always publicly, because prestige culture is still loud. But privately, many workers are revaluing peace. And that revaluation reveals something important. When a system becomes too intense, calm becomes a premium product. That is why boring no longer sounds small. It sounds protected. The point is not that everyone should abandon ambition or seek numbness. The point is that modern work culture overvalued excitement and undervalued sustainability. It treated stimulation as proof of meaning, intensity as proof of importance, chaos as proof of growth. But a lot of people learned the hard way that work can feel exciting and still be corrosive. A job can look alive while slowly draining everything around it. That is why boring jobs deserve a second look. Not because boredom is inherently noble, but because jobs that are calm, bounded, and predictable may be doing something extremely valuable. They may be allowing people to remain whole. That matters. A great job should not only build a resume, it should leave enough of a person intact to live the rest of their life. And if a boring job does that better than an exciting one, then maybe the boring job is not the lesser option anymore. Maybe it is the wiser one. Maybe that is what changed. Not human ambition, human exhaustion. People did not suddenly become less interested in purpose, challenge, or growth. They just spent too long inside work cultures that made intensity feel noble and depletion feel normal. And after enough instability, drama, pressure, and emotional spillover, boring stopped sounding like defeat. It started sounding like safety. So yes, A boring job is now a great job for more people than modern work culture wants to admit, not because boredom is thrilling, but because predictability, boundaries, and low drama have become far more valuable than the culture that mocked them ever understood. And in a labor system that keeps asking workers to give more of themselves than they can afford to lose, a job that simply leaves you with some life left over may be one of the best jobs you can possibly have.